Get over here. I'm gonna get with y'all. Minimum wage, baby. You understand what I'm talking about? You know I need a lot of loving. I need a lot of love. Hey, hey. Need a lot of loving, minimum wage. Well, you got me on a minimum wage, baby. How you doing? It's me, Norman. Glad to see y'all. Let me just say this. Boy, am I glad to see you. Now here I am. I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me. You know, they call me the lover boy. And you can plainly see, 'cause I'm big and bad and mighty slick. Hey, who hit you with that ugly stick? I said, howdy, sir, howdy, ma'am. I had all the turkey I could stand. So I went upstairs and got a drink. Now that's when I begin to think, ain't nobody bad like me. So I'm giving you to the count of 3 to go out west in Santa Fe. Well, all the cowboys drink champagne. I said, Kaya, yippee, yippee, yay, yippee, yay. Watch out, Jack, get out of my way. Happy Friday evening to you. Glad to have you with us. You're here at the East Side Studio. My studio built this place many, many moons ago. That's Indian talk, of which I know nothing about. But this is where we hang. And we're delighted to be here. I'm flying solo, which I'm not. It's not my strong suit to go on totally all by myself. I always like to have one of my boys, my Harrys or Larrys. When I used to play with that, I used to have Harry, Larry, Flo Carey, and half a fairy. That would be me. But Michael hasn't been with us for a while, Mr. Flo. But he's a good one. You know, I love making fun of Mike Flo. Talk about his big shoulders and his strong back. Big square head on him. Porno star mustache. Love that! I don't know, do porno stars still have to... Is it required to have a mustache for all porno stars? I think it is.
I think it is.
I'm pretty sure it's what's up. You know, I remember a couple of years ago, my old lady bought me a mustache. I don't know, maybe she was trying to tell me something. How you doing? Hey, we're going to hang, and I don't know what the hell we're going to do. Larry and I had talked about working together on this, and Harry and I had talked together about working on this. But I guess with the social distancing situation, it turned out that the best thing to do was to stand in front of y'all naked. Don't look at me like that. You're scaring me. You know, a lot of times when I'm working in the clubs, I'll look out in the audience and I'll say to somebody, darling, please stop undressing me with your eyes. You're making me very uncomfortable. And then usually, like, whoever I'm saying it to will give me one of these. But that's my people. That's how they are. That's how we are. Hey, we're going to go slow. I'm going to try to not be the total jerk-off that I usually am all the time, and so we can get to know each other a little better. And we're going to talk about some guitars. We're going to talk about a mess of stuff. And I'm going to play some songs. Now, give me a snort. For my sippy cup, you know, I always drink them cold coffees. And all my people at the Starlight, they started making fun of me. They go, there's Norman's little sippy cup. He drinks whatever. They think I have like some, you know, baby formula in here. And they make fun of me and break my rocks. You kidding me? Because I don't want to have to go out there and slap the crap out of somebody, of which I'm not capable. But let me strap one on here and we'll play you a song. Wrote this number back in the very end of the 80s. And it was made famous in our Pennsylvania hills by Glenn Pavone and the Cyclones. They did it all the time years ago. Tommy the Love Man Valentine sang lead on it. I always think of him. How about a guy whose middle name is Love Man? Well, his last name is Valentine. And I think when he was playing with Billy Price, they hung that Love Man tag on him, and I don't think he ever lived it down. And when I call him, I'll say Love Dog, and I'll say Love Man, and he'll say Love Dog. So we have a dog and a man, and you know what's always between a man and a dog? LUV. No question about it. Maybe we'll talk today about all the dogs that I've loved before, who've traveled in and out my dog door. Well, the first dog I ever fell in love with was a gentleman by the name of Buster. Oh, he was something. He was a piece of work. Well, let's do the song. I played this song for those guys. I tell the story a lot about when Glenn and Tommy and Dave Zarka were putting the Cyclones together back in the day. They were looking for songs, and I brought, I think just Val and Glenn came over to the house looking for songs, and I played them a mess of songs, and they didn't like any of them. And then they said, hey, we got to get out of here. We got to get a gig tonight. And I says, let me play you one more thing. I says, this is an instrumental. And I played the opening lick to this song. This isn't the song I'm going to play because I don't know if I could play it by myself. But I played this. I went. And as soon as I played that, Pavone was like, I won't play that. I'll play that. And that was a Boilermaker, which became a hit for those guys. But this song is a singing song. And Tommy Valentine used to sing it in the key of F sharp. And I've never forgiven him for that. I don't like people that play in F sharp. I don't like people that play in A flat. They're show-offs. You know, they think they're better than the rest of us. I only play in a couple keys. I play in E, G, A, C, and D. Those are the keys I play in. If you want to play in another song, you have to move it up or back to fit it in one of those slots. And I think the reason for that is because I played so many years three-piece, and I always wanted the guitar working for me. So I would always play in guitar keys where the guitar could ring out full and open, and it could sound big. So that's my excuse for never learning how to play in F sharp and A flat. I mean, I can, but just not comfortable. Okay, see what you think of this. Oh, wait a minute. Let me take my glasses off. There we go. Hunchers and Munchers. We got a few out there. Look what you done. You broke my heart. Look what you done. You tore it apart. I hope y'all having fun. Look what you done. Look what you done. You're messing with me. Look what you done. You won't let me be. I hope y'all having fun. Look what you done. You come around here with your wild ideas, about to drive poor me insane. If you keep on talking out of your head, you gonna put me in my grave. Look what you done. You made me cry. Look what you done. Now I don't know why. I hope y'all having fun. Look what you done. I hope y'all having fun. Look what you done. You come around here with your wild ideas, about to drive poor me insane. If you keep on talking out of your head, you're gonna put me in my grave. Look what you done. You broke my heart. Look what you done. You tore it apart. I hope y'all having fun. Look what you done. I hope y'all having fun. Look what you done. Hey, hey! I hope y'all having fun. Look what you done. What'd you do over there? Look what you did. Oh, I wanted to say, when I wrote that, which is, like a lot of, at that time in our country, a lot of the bands that were working were playing like bluesy influenced material and stuff. And I wanted to write bluesy type stuff, but I didn't want to do like a straight up 12-bar thing. So I wrote that one there, which is what I would call an inverted blues. Instead of going 1-4, it goes 1-5. And I stole that structure from an old song called Key to the Highway that I remember Eric Clapton did years ago when he was working with John Mayall from those records. Remember Key to the I got the key to the highway. Similar vibe, like at 1-5-1. It's a little different, stacking the numbers differently. Hey, look what you did. Man, we're glad to be here. Let me do you another song. I'd like to do your song I wrote from I didn't write it for my mom, but my mom loved it. And I play it almost every night, and I play it early in the show because it just feels good. And it gets everything rolling, and it sets up the kind of vibrations I like. And when I wrote it at the time, I was listening to a lot of Freddie Fender, Tex-Mex music. I don't know if you guys are into Tex-Mex and Freddie Fender like I am. But I always tell the story about how Harry, my bass player, and I, when Freddie Fender got his first liver transplant, Harry and I took out a small business loan and purchased Freddie's original liver because it was still working. Not that well, but it was working. And we bought it, and I bought a bag of ice and a little 6-pack cooler. I still got it about 12, 14 years ago. It's been in and out my truck ever since. And if there's anybody out there at a gig that might need some liver support, there's a little plug-in valve. We plug it in, and it just helps you out to process a little bit of that. Just in case you know what happens. What do you do when your check liver light goes on? You know what I mean? In the circles I hang in, the check liver light comes on relatively often. But this is a song when it came out on the This Old Train record, and my mom just loved this song. She would get a smile on her face, and she would just rock a little bit, and I would love to see her. Nothing would make me happier than when my mom would like my music, And I guess that would be the same for a lot of people that play and sing. I've been wasting my time doing the things that I love. They say you only live once, but that's enough. If you do all the things you want to do, well, you are the one. When it's over, said and done. Well, I made up my mind to take my time and be strong. They say it gets better, but better than what? Then you'll realize your fantasies have just begun. When it's over, said and done. When it's over, I know I'll be standing. When it's over and it's done. A little older now, but still having fun. And there ain't much change since I first begun. Now I wouldn't trade a single day for the 1,000,001. When it's over, said and done. When it's over, said and done. When it's over, said and done. Hey Poncho, hey, I'm sorry. Hey Cisco, I think we better went. I don't even have a rhythm section behind me and I'm slobbering. Are you kidding me? I'm an old slobber monster. You know, people just say, Norman spit on me. He spit on me. I didn't spit on nobody. I slobbered on everybody. When I get excited and you start sweating and you start working and you produce sweat, I think in my case, I also produce slobber as I'm producing sweat. And that's my excuse for all the people that I recently slobbered on a relative of mine at a gig who I hadn't seen since she was a child. And that was really embarrassing. And I went over to her and I says, I'm so effing sorry. I hate my guts so much. You come out to see me after all these years, what do? I loogied you. I hate my guts. You know, sometimes I say about myself, I wasn't good when times was good. Oh, you know, and I've written a song. I wrote a song called You Wasn't Good When Times Was Good. And I recently wrote it again. I don't know this, I'd have to ask other songwriters, but sometimes when I have a title to a song, I'll write the song and it'll be cool, and then that'll be that. But then something will happen and I'll write that song again, totally different, but just have the same title. And then there's a lot of songs that I've written that were the third or fourth takes at that title. I remember years ago I wrote a song called, what the hell was that? I can't remember the title right now. But you hear that title, and just because you wrote the song, and this goes to a lot of songwriters, you know, young guys that come up to me and they'll talk about songwriting. And just because you wrote a song doesn't mean that it's any good or has significance. Doesn't mean that it's worthy of dragging out there and torturing people with listening to. And that's, you know, how kind of way you kind of look at it when you're in my position. You know, if just because you wrote it doesn't mean that it should float. So sometimes I've written songs and then I just decided, no, that ain't right. So I wrote it again. And it was totally different. And then maybe the second or third or even the fourth time, that song would come alive. And now I got the song that I was looking for all along. So I like to talk about that kind of stuff, you know, for songwriters. You know, when I was young, I wrote Love Dog, which was way cool. Wrote Ready Freddy, which was way cool. And those songs were written in an instant. Love Dog was written on the way to a gig in Weirton, West Virginia. Like we were playing like steady Sunday nights down there for a couple months. This was back in, I believe it was 79 or 80. I'm not sure whether, I think it was 79. And I wrote the song on the way to the gig, and I started reciting the words to the band. And they're like, dude, that's terrible. That stinks. You're no good. Once again, you weren't good when times was good. But that's how it was. But we'll talk about more as we go along here. But I'm just a love dog, baby, riding on your gravy train. I'm just a love dog, baby, riding on your gravy train. And this old love dog is about to go insane. I'm just an old love hound barking up your tree. Woof! Old love hound barking up your tree. Well, you can fool everybody, but you can never fool me. A bow wow wow wow. Woof! A bow wow wow wow. Woof! A bow wow wow wow. Bow wow wow wow. Woof! A bow wow wow wow. This is where I say, I think I got fleas. I won't have to scratch it. Scratch my back. I'm just a love dog, baby, riding on your gravy train. I'm just a love dog, baby, riding on your gravy train. And this old love dog is about to go insane. I'm just an old French poodle, sniffing your perfume. Old French poodle, sniffing your perfume. But I can smell you coming when you walked into the room. A bow wow wow wow, bow wow wow wow, woof. A bow wow wow wow, bow wow wow wow, a bow wow wow wow. Dogs are people too. I think I wrote that song in honor of our first puppy, Buster, who was a bulldog and was such a wonderful friend. I think of him. And we spent 15 glorious years together, Buster and myself, and my hillbilly queen, and he were pretty good friends as well. They would snuggle. Did you ever hear the word snug? Snuggle. And people say, how long you been doing, making music? I always say, I've been barking on records since back in the 70s. You kidding me? I'm trying to think of how many songs I've barked upon. Love dog. I got some guitars here today. A buddy of mine told me he wanted me to show some guitars, and we're going to do that. We're going to talk about some of the guitars that I got here. This is pretty much all of them. I have a couple other things, but let's start with this bass right here. It's a Fender Jazz, and I bought that bass in the early 90s when Harry had got married for a while and moved out of the state. So I had another bass player. I got a kid from Asbury Park, New Jersey, Chris Franchese. We called him Chaluch. Hey, Chaluch. And he was an amazing blues guitar player and singer, but he needed work. And I was playing 3 pieces at a time. He had never played bass before, so I says, look, you got to come and play bass for me. He says, I'll teach you how to do it. I'll even buy you a bass. So I bought that bass, and Chaluch, I guess he worked for about 1.5 years doing dates together. I remember Chaluch was with me when we did that date at the South Side's Fat City when we opened up for the House Rockers and Bruce Springsteen. He had been playing with me for about 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden we're doing a gig opening for those guys, and the place is just mobbed and packed. And I must admit, we went in there that night and stormtrooped these people. And that was the night that I scared all the people in the Pittsburgh music business, and they announced that they officially started blackballing me at that time. But what are you going to do? Hey, and behind that is a Yamaha baritone guitar. And a baritone guitar is somewhat of a hermaphrodite, if I know what a hermaphrodite is, and I really don't. But it's not a bass and it's not a guitar. It's somewhere in between. It has a longer neck, and it's tuned to its own tuning. I mean, you can tune it like a guitar, but it's tuned different, and it has, like, a lot of people use it on like country music. Dwight Yoakam used it a lot. Steve Earle used it a lot. Two of my favorite music people. And I got that from Kevin at Swissville Music. He gave me a great price on it. I think they had a few of them. And then they wanted to get that off the shelves. And so they called me up and says, look, we'll give you a great price on that hog. And so I keep it at the studio. It lives at the studio. I don't never play it on stage. Next up is that little Vox amp, which I used, I just got that a few months ago. And I've been using that on my latest recording, and I think my latest LP is going to be called Black Sheep. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Behind that is a historic amplifier, that Marshall 50, like from the 1970s. At one time it belonged to Paul Shook, one of the prettiest people that ever lived. I just saw some pictures of Shook on, Mike Syke put up some pictures of Shook with no shirt on Facebook the other day. And unbelievable. What a piece of work he was. But that was Shook's Marshall at one time back in the 70s, and I'll keep it with me as long as I'm around. And every time and actually I used that for the entire Redemption album and for the entire Bonafide record. That's the only amp I used for guitar on both of those albums, I believe. In front of that is a Stratocaster that I used to use back in the 90s. I probably ran it about 10 years when we were playing three-piece with me and Harry and Whitey. I ran that Strat, and I put big fat strings on it, and I tuned it down a whole step. And we did it. And at that time I was studying guitar. I really wanted to get inside the guitar, and I wanted to develop a sound. You know, a lot of people say to me, young people, that say, well, what's the difference between a good guitar player and a great guitar player? And I always say, the way I see it, the difference is, when a great guitar player plays, you know it's him as soon as he starts playing. And, which is, you know, something that you want to do, and which I've held on to all these years. You know, a lot of people make fun of me for being a guy that doesn't like pedals. I never plug my guitar into pedals. I think it's not me. And I also think it takes away the guitar player's chance to have his own sound and to ring through. Every time you plug your guitar into something other than an amp, there, you know, like Stevie Ray Vaughan did it and did it brilliantly. Jimi Hendrix used pedals and did it brilliantly. Both of those guys did, and they both found their own voices. I'm not that guy. I just like to have one sound, play one way, and you know it's me. So I'm not totally against it. I don't think people should burn in hell for plugging in pedals. I just don't see it as something that makes sense for this old bag of meat. But that Strat is the Strat I played when I was tuned down a whole step. And I also had a white Strat that had two Dan Electros, like those, as pickups. And I sold that to Donnie Zeck, who was a great Pittsburgh guitar player, played in Room to Move. And he was a singer, guitar player, and really a talented guy. He came on the scene after me as we started getting a little bit older with the Tigers, and you know, million new bands came in after the surge of Pittsburgh rock guys in the early '80s. And Donnie was the only guy that I looked at and says, "Man, this guy." He gave me a little scare because I said he could entertain as well as play guitar and sing. He was quite a good musician. Behind that is Nason Giggs' old precision bass. Are you kidding me? And if you look at that bass closely, you can see in the paint where Nason took it and bit it. He bit into it. His teeth marks, his teeth print. Like if we were doing forensics, like on them TV shows I watch. You ever watch The First 48? Love that. They do forensics. But you would find that Nason's teeth marks are in that bass. And when later, after the Tigers broke up, and Nason switched from keyboards to playing bass, that was one of the basses he used mainly. The next guitar is a Reverend that Kevin from Swissvale Music suggested for me back in the 80s. And once again, I always say he gave me a good price. They always would give me a good price because I always needed a good price because I never had much jingle. So they hooked me up with that Reverend, and I love that Reverend. And I would have used it more on stage, but the way it's built from like particle board or something, and I'm pretty rough with my guitars. And when I would put a strap on it, I'd pull the strap right out of the body. And then we would try to fix it again and doctor it up. And then after it happened twice, I says, I'm never playing that on stage again. But that's a nice studio guitar and has a real nice single coil sound. Next to it is an amazing guitar that was built for me. by my friend Chris Boyle, who worked at Swissville Music. He was their guitar guy. And he built me that with the upside down headstock. And I used that tuned to an E chord for slide guitar. And I actually think it's a really cool hunk of meat. Love that hog. We're going to play a song and then we'll go over some of the rest of these guitars. Man, hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And my friend Larry G, up in the Big Apple, told me that I should say, you can stream our music from iTunes and Amazon. And they have a lot of Norman LPs that you can grab there for all under $10 at iTunes or Amazon. And the albums that they have are Notorious, which is our most recent, Bonafide, Redemption, It's Alive, Breakdown in Paradise, This Old Train, and Eaten Alive, which to me was the best record the Tigers ever did together. It was really maybe the only real Tigers album. And it was cut live at the Agora from an MMS concert. It cut about 9 o'clock in the morning. I remember I took the guys up to Cleveland the night before and made everybody stay in the rooms. I didn't want them going out and gallivanting and running all over town doing the crazy things that the Tigers would do. I kept them locked in, caged like animals. And we woke up real early and went and did that show, and it ended up being like a really cool record, kind of like an underground classic, somewhere between punk and rock and roll, and a lot of mistakes on it, a lot of anger. Good stuff. I'm gonna play a song. I'm going to play a song for my sister. And I've never tried to play this by myself before. And I'll probably screw it up. So I have I've done no practice on this then. But I thought if my sister was watching, or some of her people, she's a bit of a legend. A couple years ago, on Christmas, my sister's children bought her, for Christmas, a dustpan, and on it they wrote the term Dustpan Annie, and they bedazzled it. And bedazzled is whenever you put shinies on things. And like I always say, I know what bedazzled means because my old lady used to watch a show about gypsy chicks, and they would bedazzle their bras and panties, which I'm all for. And they bedazzled her dustpan, and they called her Dustpan Annie. So as soon as because she's a compulsive cleaner. And when that happened, I just said, I got to write a song about Dustpan Annie. So I'm going to try and play it. I hope I don't screw it up too much. There we go. The very sight of dust make Annie mean. Children say she crazy, she's a cleaning machine. Saw a speck of dirt on the kitchen floor, and I went to work, don't see that dirt no more. Annie, Dustpan Annie, the cleaning is uncanny. Dustpan Annie, Annie loves a broom like a banker loves his money. Cleaning up that mess like the ever-ready bunny. She's a white tornado when she gets it in gear. She'll throw you in the trash, so you best steer clear of Annie. Dustpan Annie, the cleaning is uncanny. Dustpan Annie, Annie, cleaning up that mess. Don't get no dirt on her dress. Annie, she got a broom and a mop. Annie, that bitch don't never stop. Well, she gets up off a fanny. Dustpan Annie, hands and knees, elbow grease, a bucket and a brush, spick and span, everything sparkle. When the shit hits the fan, hit the fan. Anna cleaned the house 'cause she didn't like the smell. Saw a spider on the wall, sent that spider straight to hell. When she finished with the job, she took a broom for a ride. Waving at the neighbors, she'd go flying by. Anna, dustpan Anna, she'd get up off of Fanny. Dustpan Annie, Anna, cleaning up that place. Anna, got a smile on her face. Anna, she got a broom and a mop. Anna, that bitch don't never stop. Well, she get up off of Fanny. Dustpan Annie. To the dustpan. Dustpan Annie. I didn't screw it up too bad. It's hard to play and sing all that. Hey, Dustpan Annie. Send that out to my sister, who's kind of an amazing person. More than kind of, she kind of is an amazing person. Hey, I wanted to do this. I've never done anything like this before, but I thought while we're here, we could do it. I'm going to mention some names. Robbie, Beadman Johns, Nason Gig, Paul Shook, Gary, Guitar Slim Scalise, Warren King, Ronnie Bird Foster, DT Dennis Takus, Jay Flores, Gary, Ollie Olson, Floyd Beck, Ralph Caminio, Jeff Bobula, John McGann, Chismo Charles, and last but certainly not least, Mr. Glenn Pavone, the Big Cheese. Those are all names of friends that I've lost along the way. And for every one of them, took a little piece of me. And luckily I've got to still be here. But when I think about all those guys and all the crazy and amazing stuff we did together, each of those names, there's a story that I could tell that shouldn't be told, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm hoping I get to see them again one day. Same as I'm hoping I get to see Art and Nori, who are my parents. Two beautiful first-generation Italian Americans. Arturo and Eleanor. How you doing? Mother, father, pure of heart, stood by me from the start. I miss them both, they've been gone. Left me here, keeping on. See 'em when I get there, think I can pay the fare. Heard it's nice up there, see 'em when I get there. Some friends of mine, as good as gold, had angel wings, truth be told. Was bound for glory, touched by the hand. Now they're living in a promised land. I'll see him when I get there. I won't know what to wear, I'll just pull up a chair when I get there. I get where I'm going, I'll be home. No longer will I roam. Life I lived wasn't by the book. I got goats back there, tree gets shook. Dungeon door, pearly gates, call my name, will clear my slate. See you when I get there. We'll have a grand affair. Get on a chair when I get there. I'll see you when I get there. We'll throw our hands in the air like we just don't care when I get there. See you when I get there. Well, see you when I get there. 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 Talking about all my old buddies. How crazy they all were. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier about writing songs, and I said, just because you wrote it or just because I wrote it doesn't mean that it has significance. You know, when you're writing songs, you know, when I first started writing songs, I come from the music side of the business. I was into arrangements and into playing different, you know, being a half-assed musician, and coming from the playing side, and I would write tracks, and we would put things together, and I would work with other people, and we would come up with a song. And we really actually did some great work doing things that way. But as I worked at songwriting, everything changed, and there were a couple of incidents in my life that changed it for me. And the first incident that lit me up and got me thinking about songwriting at a deeper level, as I was getting older, probably in my you know, middle to late 50s, when I was talking to a guy that probably you've all heard of, named Richie Sambora. Played guitar in a Bon Jovi, a good friend of mine, and we were just partying one night, you know, late at night, getting crazy, and we were talking about songs and stuff like that. And he said something to me that he wasn't trying to teach me. We were just talking, and he said, you know, songwriting, man. He says, you know, it's all about the words. And he points to me, and who I think David was there, and a couple other guys were, and he says, you know, hey, me, you, him, we can all write the music. We can all build the music, he says, but the whole key to it is the words. And at the moment when he said it, it didn't register to me. But, you know, 2 weeks later and 6 months later, and I just started thinking about that more and more, just that saying that it's all about the words. Him saying that, for some reason, really stuck in my head. And then not long after that, I was reading something about one of my favorite songwriters, a guy who I've never worked with. I've met him, but I've never worked with him, named Steve Earle, who I think is, you know, maybe one of the greatest songwriters we've ever had in our country. And I read something that he said. And he said, hey, what's the big deal? He said, hey, I just tell you what happened and make it rhyme. And him saying that, when I read that, once again, it didn't hit me right away. But over the course of weeks, months, years, you know, Richie's saying how important the words are, how it's all there. And Steve Earle saying, you know, talking about, oh, it's not a big deal what I do. I just tell you what happened and make it rhyme. Just said, those two thoughts like started me forming myself into someone that was writing from a different aspect and coming from a different place, and not worrying about the music when I was writing. I stopped writing the music first. I started just only writing the words. And I thought the words should have legs. They should stand up on their own. They should paint a picture. They should have rhythm. They should have rhyme. And I thought about how important that is. And, you know, recently, I have a buddy who I work with, who's my studio engineer, but he's also become my production partner. A gentleman named Bryce Foster. He's from Wild Wonderful West by God, Virginia. He used to play drums in a band called Brett Kane, and me and him used to fight and go crazy. And I used to try and teach him and train him, and he would try and teach and train me. And we ended up becoming friends, and he started, you know, working on engineering, and we started doing things together. And through the course of that, we started building a team, and I really enjoy working with him, building music. But anyway, he lives in Nashville, so when we get together when he comes up here. And recently he's been working with a young girl out of Virginia down in Nashville named Nardini. And I have never met her, but they started cutting some Norman songs. They cut a song I wrote called She Talk Bad. They cut a Norman song called I Got My Heart on the Line. They cut a Norman song called Pennsylvania Rain. And one night, not so long ago, I called Bryce up about 4 o'clock in the morning. And he said, oh, I just got off the gig and I'm with Danny right now. And he says, would you like to meet her? So I met her over the phone at 4 o'clock in the morning. And she's like a young girl. She's like 19 or 20 years old. And we got to talk for about 10 minutes. And after she got off the phone, I got back on the Bryce. I said, well, she sounds like a great kid. I really look forward to meeting her. And Bryce said, I said, she sounds like he's really cool. He said, and Bryce says to me, he says, dude, I got to tell you something. I says, what's that? He goes, she got that look in her eye. And as soon as he said that, it hit me. And I went, she got that look in her eye. And I immediately, as soon as we got off the phone, I started thinking about that as a song custom designed for her. And I didn't think about the music. All I thought about was, she got that look in her eye. And from talking to her and the little things that she said to me and talking to Bryce about her, it made me think about this piece of music I started building that would go something like this. Here it said, Mama said, Daddy, we got to watch that one. She ain't like the others. She was born to run. Daddy said, Mama, how you know that's true? Mama said, Daddy, she reminds me of you. She got that look in her eye. She's a stone cold rebel child, turning 10 up to 11, raising hell up to the heavens. That angel can fly. And she got that look in her eye. Mama said, Daddy, now that girl's grown. She joined up with a band. She's going out on the road. She get up on the stage screaming out, no fear! Telling all the world, I belong here. She got that look in her eye. She's a stone cold rebel child, turning 10 up to 11, raising hell up to the heavens. That angel can fly. And she got that look in her eye. Show after show, mile after mile, year after year, it sure took a while. Till back in her hometown, lighting up the screen, Mama said, Daddy, turn up the TV. That's your daughter singing to the masses. And you and I both know what's behind them sunglasses. She got that look in her eye. She's a stone cold rebel child, turning 10 up to 11, raising hell up to the heavens. That angel can fly. She got that look. Done all it took. She got that look. That look, that look, that look. She got that look in her eye. How you doing? But that's a piece of music that hopefully can stand on its own, just on the strength of the words. You know, it takes, there's no music. You're hearing no music, but you're listening to a story about a human being, which is human interest. That's one thing about songwriting, human interest. What is the human interest for this song? I played, in bars my whole life. Never really had a job. One stinking, rotten, thankless gig after another. Sippy cup. And I've always done my own music. And when you play your own music, your music can't be good. If you're going to survive, if you're going to make a buck, if you're going to pay a salary, your music can't be good. Your music has to be better than good. It has to be better than what other people are putting out there, or why else would you survive? We all know that if you play a song in a bar that everybody likes already, if you play Desperado by the Eagles, people are going to clap at the end of it. They're going to clap because they like the song. But if you're going to go out and refuse to play any of those classic, wonderful pieces of music, then you better have something in your shorts. You feel me? Because I'll come over there. Nene making cornbread. She fried in the pan. Every time she serve it up, somebody wound up in the can. Oh, when neighbors and family said they want to lick it up. Nene making cornbread. But she didn't make enough. Nene making cornbread, Ray Ray dropping by, smelling like cigarettes and French fries. Ray Ray said that cornbread, that's the mostest thing he loved. Nene made the cornbread, but she didn't make enough. Nene making cornbread, Lucy gonna stop with the jar of the shine and a liter of plop. Lucy says she's hungry and it's gonna get rough. If Nene made the cornbread, but she didn't make enough. Cornbread, you could smell it in the kitchen. Cornbread, folks, are finger licking. Cornbread, sure enough, delicious. Nene making cornbread, Ray Ray took a bite. Lucy slapped him stupid. Then they began to fight. Then Lucy shot Ray because he wouldn't share the stuff. Nene made the cornbread, but she didn't make enough. Nene made the cornbread. That's what they told the cops. Judge said Nene guilty. Just let Lucy walk. Said, cornbread so good it's a crime you can't stuff. Nene made the cornbread, but she didn't make enough. Now Nene making cornbread at the penitentiary. Ray Ray in the ground and Lucy walking free. And the warden tell the guards, watch the crime, he's at lunch. Because Nene making cornbread, and that bitch don't never make enough. Cornbread, you could smell it in the kitchen. Cornbread, folks are finger licking. Cornbread, sure enough, delicious. Storyline. Creating characters. These are the trick to songwriting. Give the people a character. Give the people a piece of humanity. Where's the humanity? What's the storyline? What's some drunk sitting in a bar, woofing on some broad, trying to get a little... Why would he bother listening to you? Why would he stop for a second to think about, what the hell is he doing up there? You're just making noise. You're just a part of the atmosphere. But if you can tell a story, and if you can catch their interest to start talking about Nene, that's a character, that's a person. Then maybe somebody, you see them, they start tuning into your words and they start listening to your words. So your words need to be heard. They need to be audible. And once they're audible, they better have a storyline and they better have significance. A couple of years ago, I was coming home from a gig at the Starlight about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm watching late night TV and there's a lady comedian on there. She's being interviewed. And the guy interviewing her says, oh, hey, darling, how's your love life? And she says, oh, it's fantastic. She says, I've been dating a cop. And then she says, I've been messing with the law. And as soon as she said that, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. As soon as she said messing with the law, I thought, messing with the law? You kidding me? Now there's intrigue right there. What's the story? Okay, you want to hear the story? We'll talk about the story. She was on patrol in a cul-de-sac. Me, I'm rumbling around in my Cadillac. Should have slowed down when I ran around that bend. Now I got a flashing red light up in my rear end. The law was messing with me. Me and my Cadillac car. The law was messing with me. Don't want to be stressing with no law. She pulled me over in the dark of the night, all dressed in blue, driving a black and white. Said, need to see your license and insurance card. She had a gun on her hip and the finest backyard. The law was messing with me. She was the prettiest thing you ever saw. The law was messing with me. Now I want to be messing with the law. So I started talking with my usual charm. Before you know it, we were arm in arm. Said, I ain't writing you no ticket, but you better slow down. And once he slapped on the cuffs, I took it downtown. The law was messing with me. She was the prettiest thing you ever saw. The law was messing with me, and now I'm messing with the law. Messing with the law on the double down low, because I've been living with this woman, and she can't never know that I was working overtime on a special op, making monkey love to that badass lady cop. The law was messing with me. She was the prettiest thing you ever saw. The law was messing with me in the back of my Cadillac car. You feel me now? Storyline. What are you telling me? Take me someplace. What happened? Who was there? I'll come over there. East east side of Pittsburgh. I'm an east sider. I'm one of the younger ones. The talent, big time talents were a couple years older than me. Bubs McKeag, Frank Zori, Jeff Bobula. These guys were my hero as a little kid. And luckily, McKeag was the one that let me hang around with the older guys and pretend like I could hang until I developed my skills, which I always try to do. Then we started putting some things together, and a guy a couple years younger than me come on the scene. A dangerous outlaw guitar player named Warren King, WKK to B. Warren King, King of the Blues. He strapped it on. When he started playing guitar, I don't care who you were. You just turned your head and go, who is that? Especially men. Men loved Fish because he played guitar like Dwayne Allman, mixed with Billy Gibbons, mixed with, and I know this sounds crazy, mixed with Johnny Rotten's band. What the hell was the name of that band? Punk rock. It was Dwayne Allman's with punk rock, which is great. You know what I mean? It's like, who does that? Who? Make a list. You show me the list. But Fish passed away. And after Fish passed away, I just thought about him, and I just thought, how beautiful was this man? Scared everybody. One time I was doing a show with Bill Wharton, the Sauce Boss, from down in Florida. And I mentioned to him, hey, I says, Warren King? And he says, Warren King? He goes like this, he says, he played with me for a while, he says, he was the only guitar player I ever played that played what I heard in my head. He said because when he played, it had so much power and so much force, and it was so naturally beautiful. It was just so manful. And Bill Wharton, when he said it, just put the big smile on my face, because I just thought, how great is this? I'm going to recite you my Warren King song, but I can't remember the first line. Give me a second here. WKK to B. Young buck asked about him. Said, did he stand that tall? Did he drop his pants in Texas as he raised up his Les Paul? Tell me the story. How he blazed the trail. Yeah, the man they called a Kingfish sure knew how to wail. Kingfish down in Memphis drunk up all his dough. Got Elvis's phone number from a couple hoes. All them strippers tell you he get the wind in his sails. The man they called a Kingfish, shake the feathers of his tail. Folks still talk about that night on Woodstock Ave. Threw his Les Paul out the window, landing on a Cadillac. Played a killer show that night. I still remember that. Yeah, the man that called the Kingfish, he took it all out on his Strat. Kingfish in New York City. On the road to ruin. Down in the village doing shit you shouldn't be doing. Strap on a six-string like he didn't have a care. Took a bite of the Big Apple. Middle finger in the air. Hail to the Kingfish. Hail to the man pissed into the wind just because you can. Hail to the Kingfish in his rebel soul. And dancing with the devil playing rock and roll. Some say he played like Billy Gibbons. Man, he bring to mind Dwayne. How about Johnny Winter? Hot up on whiskey and coke. Kane. Y'all talking about the legends of the bended string. The man they call the Kingfish make that guitar sing. Now, there's been some guitar slingers, and they've all paid their dues. But ain't a one of them better playing them rock and blues. And that's the fact of the matter. That ain't no fairy tale. The man they call the Kingfish sure knew how to wail. Hail to the Kingfish, hail to the man pissed into the wind just because you can. Hail to the Kingfish in his rebel soul, dancing with the devil, playing rock and roll. Now the Kingfish, he would tell you, get what you could get. Said, don't worry about me. I got friends I ain't used yet. Hail to the Kingfish. WK. Storyline. Personality. These are the tricks to writing that give the artist the control. If you don't have the storyline and the characters and intrigue, then you're not exercising the control that you could have. Because that's how you trick people into watching. Because in today's world, you have to trick them into looking at you. They ain't going to look at you, especially if you don't have that name and you haven't been on the radio for 20, 30, 40 years. If you have all that going for you, it's a different game. But I never had that. My whole thing was, here's me, here's you. I'm looking you right in the eye. And I'm telling you, I have significance. I am somebody. I'm bringing something to the table. You need me. You need to hear what I got to say. You need to watch me because I'm living rock and roll. I am the meat. A little saggy in the back seat at this point, but I am the meat. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that songwriting thing because I think it's important. You know, it's like maybe I can inspire a kid to dig deeper. You know, a lot of kids write songs and they write, you know, I wrote this, I wrote that. And usually, you know, when the kids come to the studio, they'll say, I wrote this song, I wrote this song. And I'll hear the song and I'll say, here's what we're going to do. I see that song you say you just wrote? I said, what we're going to do is we're going to pull its pants down and see what it got in its shorts. And then we're going to talk about it. Because almost everything that's written needs rewritten. And that's real. It's not, don't take that personally. Don't take it like, what, you don't know. No, I do know. Because I've done the gigs, I've done the work. And I've written at that level. And I've watched people ho-hum and turn their heads and walk out of the room. And it wasn't good enough for me. So I didn't get mad at the people for not getting the music. I got at me for not being good enough to catch them. And that's how you got to think in today's world to be somebody. Because rock and roll isn't the language of the country anymore. Rock and roll was like when I was a kid, blues. When I was a kid, I went to see Willie Dixon. There was maybe 25 people in the room. I went to see Muddy Waters, maybe 25, 30 people there. I played with Big Mama Thornton. You know, week's worth of shows. How many people were there to see her? 25, 30, 40? You know, that was, the blues was dwarfed into this place of no significance. And rock and roll, the Stones, the Doobie Brothers, they were all huge at that time. But, you know what I'm saying? It's like, now rock and roll is deduced to something that isn't the language of the people anymore. And if you want to be a rock and roller and you want to use that as your bag to function out of, well, you got to get better than the other rock and rollers at it. And the cool thing is that there's been some great rock and rollers that we've all heard, and it's documented. It was even on, had airplay. You can take that music and study it, pull its pants down, look and see what makes it work. And then you could take the same tricks and same principles and build your own music about your story and your life. And that's how new great rock and roll could happen. And maybe could find a place of significance again. Or at least find the audience that is there for it. Which is what I'm trying to do. Because I'll come over there. And if you don't think I will, I'll give you a slap right. Get it! How about, what's the definition of Italian foreplay? Get over here! Man, I'm glad to be here today. You know, I was nervous when we first started. I'm telling you, I was nervous. I could smell myself. And that's a good sign. I always say to people, it ain't a gig until I can smell myself. You know, my mother was an amazing person. Eleanor. Nori D. About 98 pounds of Italian dynamite. My mother and my father met before World War II. They met at Kennywood Danceland, and they were both jitterbuggers. How cool is that, right? And they would jitterbug and dance to the big bands of that era. Then my father got called away to World War II. 4 years and 9 months he was in the Army, overseas. And when he came back home, I'm not ashamed to tell you, my dad was partying hard. My dad had tremendous skills, party skills. And his mother, Minnie, was watching him just party all day. One after the other. He had talent. And at the time, my grandmother, Minnie, was on a streetcar. And she saw my mother who was a young girl at the time, on the streetcar. And when she saw her, she said, "That's Eleanor Nori, who Art used to go out with before he went to the war." And I remember her. She was a tough girl. She's a strong girl, and she don't take no crap. My grandmother said this. And she went over to her and said, "Hello, I'm Art's mother," and bada bing, and they started talking. And my grandmother told my mother, she says, "Art talks about you all the time since she's been back from the war. He would really like to go out with you. And can I have your number?" So his mother got my mother's number for my dad because she knew that my dad needed a strong woman in his life. And she knew that my mother was a strong woman from the time my mother was a teenage girl. She was just tougher than the other people and more righteous. My mother, like, hardly never told a lie, never swore. She was almost like a perfect person. And so my dad called my mother, and then the beginning of their life together happened. And how great is that? At the end of my mother's life, she was in a care home, and I was taking care of her. And she was at the point where she was in rough shape. And the only joy she had left was me putting her in a wheelchair and wheeling her around. There was a square floor, and there was a square that you could wheel around where all the rooms were on the side of it. And I would wheel around, and when I would wheel her around, I would sing to her. And she would just close her eyes. And if we would meet somebody in the hallway, and I would start talking to them, or they would start trying to talk to my mother would go like, "Let's go, mister! Let's go, mister!" And she starts shaking a wheelchair. She didn't want to talk to anybody. She didn't want to relate to nobody. She wanted to be pushed, and she wanted me to sing to her. And so that's what we did. And I'm going to try to sing a song that I sang for her at that time. Nardini! When somebody loves you, it's no good unless they love you all the way. Happy to be near you when you need someone to cheer you all the way. Taller than the tallest trees, that's how it's got to feel. Deeper than the deep blue sea is, that's how it goes when it's real. When somebody needs you, it's no good unless they need you. Oh, through the good and lean years and all the in-between years, come what may, who knows where the road will lead us? Only a fool would say. But if you let me love you, it's for sure I'm going to love you all the way. years and all the in-between years. Come what may, who knows where the road will lead us? Only a fool would say. But if you let me love you, it's for sure I'm going to love you all the way. All the way. Nardini, right? Out on the dance floor, Kennywood Dance Slam. Jitterbugging, 98 pounds of Italian dynamite. Pretty as they come. You know, my aunts, when I was born, my father had 3 sisters, all older than him. And they would come and visit us when I was just a little boy, and my aunts would grab my face and pinch my cheeks. And they would say, look how pretty he is. Look at his eyes. He's so pretty he should have been a girl. When I was like 4 years old, I'm thinking, hey! No. All boy. That's not true. But that's what I was thinking. But how about that? We're on the subject of my mom. I'd like to play you a song I wrote for my mom and dad. Art and Nori. They met at Kennywood Dance Land and lived an amazing life together. And play a song that kind of tells you the story. I can hear the music play. All the people start to sway. Deep inside, I feel an urge to hold you close to me. All the magic of a dance land night. You and Mom just feel so right. Jitterbugging the night away. And then you hear me gently say, dance a little closer to me. When we move into harmony, all the world start to glow. So dance a little closer to me. The sound of laughter fills the air. Friends and family gather there. I look around a crowded room and you're the only one I see. I'll never forget the way you looked. Never betray the vows we took. Together when we're old and gray. From when we heard those wedding bells play. Dance a little closer to me. When we move into harmony. All the world start to glow. So dance a little closer to me. But dance when the rain was falling. Dance when the blues came calling. Closer and closer yet. And we ain't through dancing yet. Now all the children grown and gone. You and I were not alone. And looking back through all these years, you're still the only one I see. Now I know we must have been a sight on that magic dance land night, jitterbugging the night away. I still hear the music play. Dance a little closer to me when we move into harmony. All the world start to glow. So dance a little closer to me. Dance a little closer to me. We're the rhythm and we are the melody. High and low, fast and slow. So dance a little closer. Dance a little closer. Dance a little closer to me. How do you like that? That's about my mom and my dad. First generation Italian Americans. Oh, crapping up the place. Man, we're glad to be here. I don't know if anybody's putting any messages in. Anybody's wanting to request any songs. Anybody's sending us messages on our Facebook page. Talking to the manful handful. The beauty on duty. The wop at the bop. The guinea with the skinny. The get down clown. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but when I first started in this business, I was started off as a midget wrestler. I used to work with Big Tiny Little. You should have seen the two of us. Chicks wasn't no problem. Midget wrestlers get all the chicks. I don't know if you know. You think rock stars, but I'm telling you, the one thing you don't want to do is get in a hotel room with a bunch of midget wrestlers. There's gonna be more women in there than you can imagine. How you doing over there? Because I'll come right over there and throw a kiss on you. My mother loved Frank Sinatra. In our home, anybody mentioned Frank Sinatra's name, my mother made the sign of the cross. I just thought everybody did. I started doing that when I got older, and people were like, "What's wrong with you?" I says, "What do you mean? That's what you do, right?" And I said, "That's what my mother." She didn't teach us to do it. She just did it. So I assumed that's what you were supposed to do. Francis Albert. Back in the 90s, I was hanging out in Jersey a lot with a lot of racetrack bums. And these racetrack bums, they would always tell stories. They always talk about Frank Sinatra. They go, "Frank Sinatra, that nickel rocket pimp. He still owes Skinny a mod of $500. And I didn't even know why they'd say stuff like that. But they'd always talk about him. And that's what I would always think. You could say all the rotten stuff you want to say about Frankie, but you're talking about him. And that little guinea, he was something else. From Here to Eternity, my mother would talk about that movie. Ernest Borgnine, Frankie, old Blue Eyes. Hey, I wonder if we're getting any requests. Anybody sending anything?
You got a lot of people watching.
We have a lot of people watching?
Yeah.
Oh, so you got your eye on me. So you got your good eye on me. You're out there looking at all this.
I'm watching.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. I'm talking to those folks out in Facebook land looking at that old Dago, that old greaseball, yakking up a storm. I was really nervous when we started. I'm still a little bit nervous. I'm used to, at the end of a song, let me say this. I'm an applause junkie. That's the drug I'm on. And when you're here alone, almost alone, Tom and I are social distancing. I don't want to get too close to him. I'm afraid he'll just kiss me. But how are you doing, Tom?
I'm doing just wonderful.
There's just a couple. There's just the two of us here, and it's kind of weird to be yakking and talking a mile a minute and not seeing it. When you do what I do, what you live off. You live off the faces. You stand up there and you look at their faces and you read their eyes and you read their body. You start a new song, you look at their feet to see if their foot's tapping, if their hand's tapping on the bar, if their body's moving, if they're swaying. When you're working on stage, you're looking at all this stuff and you're factoring in on not just the moment, but after the gig, what happened. When I played that song, this guy was tapping his foot. I could tell that the rhythm of it was getting it, but I lost him. The words weren't good enough. Those kinds of things are how you build yourself up. That you don't just write a song and then all of a sudden something happens for you. Somebody comes down from the sky and says, "Oh, you're great." You work your whole life to learn how to do it better. You work your whole life to learn how to get people's attention, to earn. You don't get people's attention, you earn it by offering them something that they find significant. And so you have to read them and watch their bodies and their faces will tell you if you're offering them something of significance. And that's the job. Then there's no one teaching musicians. Like I said, I've tried to teach so many young musicians. And almost all of them don't want to learn. And I'm not trying to be a donner or one of the only ones that really wanted to learn was my friend Bryce Foster, my engineer and production partner. He's one of the only guys, like I say, me and him would fight. We would go at it. But he always came back. And he always listened to what I told him. He'd fight about it, but he heard it. And then years would go by, and I'd watch him, and I'd see him grow, and I'd break him down, and I would learn from him. But most of the guys I've tried to teach didn't want to learn. They just didn't want to believe that it was as difficult and as deep a job as it really is. You know, it's a very, I think of it as an honor to be a musician and a songwriter, entertainer, and you earn the right to be that. And without airplay and without much support, that I haven't had much support or airplay in my whole life, it's made it more difficult for me to maintain a business. But I never got mad about it. I never stopped. I never turned it into negativity. It always kept opening me up. What do I have to do? How do I have to think? Who do I have to be? How do I find a way to be who I need to be? Which is, I need to be the people that I need to be the guy that these people go to for entertainment. The guy that if they want to laugh. You know, most musicians don't talk on stage. They're not trying to make people laugh. And you know, that's like saying, okay, I don't want to use the color. If you're a painter, I don't want to use the color blue. And you know, because laughter is one of the, in artists, there's only a couple colors. There's a handful of colors that all art is made from. There's only so many shapes. And in music, there's only so many notes. And there's only so many rhythms. And you have to find yourself within those notes and those rhythms, just like an artist has to find himself within the colors. And that's a light, and it seems so, to say it just comes out in 2 seconds. But to find out what I'm saying takes a lifetime to learn and to find your place within those colors or within those notes. The significance of who you are and what you're bringing. What gives you the right to be a painter? What gives me the right to be a songwriter? What gives me a right to get up on stage and talk crap? Nothing gives it to me. I earn it. We're talking about these guitars. Let's talk about them a little bit more. I think we stopped off at the black Telecaster that my friend Chris Boyle made for me. It's E-tuning slide guitar. Next to it is a little Mexican Martin that was given to me by a wonderful, wonderful friend. The old tour manager and road boss of the House Rockers, Jay Flores, passed away a couple years ago, and just a sweetheart of a man who had a very, very tough life. Never complained once. And not too many years before he passed, he gave me that guitar. He lent it to me, and when I tried to give it back to him, he refused to take it back. He said that guitar has found its home. And he was right. He was right. Next to that guitar is the bastard Norman Stein. Now that was given to me by my friend Rat. I have a friend named Rat. I have a friend named Rat who has two brothers, Rat, Pig, and Chooch. They're the three brothers. One time Glenn Pavone was playing a party with me for Rat at the shithole where we used to do parties. And Rat and his sister wanted to do I Got You, Babe, the Sonny and Cher song. And they wanted to play Sonny and Cher. So I learned a song, we played it. But the cool part of it was Rat played Cher and his sister played Sonny. Josie was his sister. And I remember they were doing it, and Rat started taking his clothes off, and all the little kids at the place, and all the little girls, he started ripping off his clothes, and all the girls, little teenage girls, would run out of the building, and then they'd all stick their heads back in to look in the door to see what was going on. They didn't want to see it, but they didn't want to not see it either. But anyway, that's the Norman Stein guitar, and Rat's son, Josh, who now runs the Subalpine, and does, he's probably becoming one of the experts in town on heavy music, which I don't understand a lot. In fact, I just did a date with Josh, and I says, dude, how things going with the heavy bands? He says, dude, I had this band in here, and he says, and they're doing their sound check, and he says, it sounded like a train going over a metal bridge, and it's at the highest volume where it made your ears hurt. And he says, and after they did their sound check, the leader of the band looked at me and says, how does it sound? And he looked at the guy and he says, how's it sound? Great. But I thought that was funny. But anyway, Josh had a girlfriend at the time that painted that guitar for me. And actually put the guitar together, the whole deal was just like a friendship and package, and it's based on the old It's Alive album from the 1990s. That's where my face is green and all that, and it's just a cool guitar. And it's the only like Gibson style guitar I have. I'm not really a Gibson guitar guy. And next to that guitar is the Tiger guitar. This is the one that my friend, Mr. Paul Wargo, who came up with the name the Tigers, Norman Nardini and the East Side Tiger. He painted this guitar, painted Ray Gunn's bass, and most of the guitars that we used through those years. This is the main one, the master. And this is a Warmoth body. And I used to have a Warmoth neck, but it cracked. So I got a Mighty Mite neck on it. And but this is the prototype, painted by Paul Wargo. And how many gigs has this old hog done, right? Look at it! It looks like Willie Nelson's face, right? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in a beautiful way. And it's just a historic, classic rock and roll guitar. I had another one similar to it that I traded to Carl Greffenstadt from Pittsburgh Guitars. Carl Greffenstadt, he talked like that sometimes. He was a little bit... When Carl Greffenstadt would talk, he always reminded me of someone that could be in a monster movie. Just the sound of his voice and the way he would smile. Very cool, very hip guy, but very unique. But he has another one that's in much nicer looking. He actually has this one, which never went bad. Maybe that is the same one. No, I don't think it is. I had another one, and I think that's this one, and that was the nicer looking one, but this is the one that did all the work. And next to the Tiger guitar is Old Red. And that's what I've been playing for about the last 15 years. Now that guitar, this one right here, it's an Anderstone, Tom Anderstone. I never wanted this guitar. But Gary from Swissville Music pulled me aside one day and says, "Here, I got to talk to you." I said, "What's up?" He says, "You see this guitar here?" I says, "Yeah." He said, "I got to work something out with you." I didn't ask to buy it. I didn't even ask to look at it. And he says, "I got to work something out with you." I says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I want you to have that guitar." I was like, "Oh." And at the time, it cost a lot of money. It was like a couple grand, and I bought all my guitars. And I mean, some of these even, from Junkies, and I paid. I would say I lived right before Braddock, which is where all the junkies would go to get their junk. I lived in Swissville, so a lot of guitar players in town knew if they stopped at my house, I'd give them $150 for any Fender guitar that they had, and that's how I acquired guitars, and that was my limit. But Gary had that thing on the shelf, and he had a mess of other Andersons, and they were all very expensive. And he said, "Look, I sold all my other Andersons, and this guitar's been on the shelves up here for a year and a half, and I had seen it." He says, "I got to get it off the shelf. It just looks bad. I can't have a guitar hanging on the shelf all this time." He says, "So I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to put it on your account. I don't need any money today." He says, "You just pay it off on your account," because I always had an account there. So I said, "Okay, I'll take it." And I took it home, and I didn't use it. I just kept it in. It had a hard shell case and everything. And then one day, as I was starting to cut at home, I pulled it out to record with. And I just started realizing, I started hearing how in tune it was. And how clear it rang like a bell. And I started getting used to it just by using it, I was cutting on like a goddamn multi-track cassette machine. And that's when I started falling in love with that guitar. And then once I fell in love with it, I never ever have played another guitar since. That's what I play all the time for all my records. Now that's the guitar I use. Called Old Red. Next to Old Red is a hardtail Strat. And when I say hardtail, that means it's a Strat that ain't got no vibrato bar. And a lot of people have never even seen it. Look, it strings like a Telecaster. no vibrato unit. You know, so it's a very unique guitar. I got this for $200, and Chris Boyle did this neck for me, and I told him how I wanted it done and stuff, and he says, "But if I do it this way, it's going to go bad. It's going to look like hell." And I said, "Do it anyway," and he was right. It went bad and it looked like hell. But there it is, and but this is my G tuning slide guitar, and I use this on stage on a regular basis. It's a very cool axe. And then right here, the guitar I've been playing today is an Ibanez acoustic. I didn't have an acoustic guitar except for the one I got from Jay, that little mini thing. But it doesn't have any pickup on it at all. And so that guitar there was given to me by my friend Harold Gurley Bottoms, who's been propping my old ass up on stage for 30-some years. Bass player. Harry's down! Working class musician. Just gig after gig after gig after gig, year after year after year. He's been propping me up. And just a couple years ago, he says, "Dude, I got a present for you." And it was that guitar. And I've been using it all the time ever since. A fantastic Ibanez acoustic. It plugs in and it works. And it's leaning on my PV, that's the amps I use. And I've been using these for about 25 years. It's just like a PV 410 classic amp. I have two of them. I got them both from Swissville Music. I was playing through a Soldano amp, and it blew up, and they were going to fix it, and so they said they needed I needed an amp to gig through, so they gave me this amp here to use while my Soldano was being fixed, and I started using this simple little amp, and it just made so much sense. So I bought that, and when the Soldano came back, I sold it and never played it again. And I've been using this thing ever since. I have another one just like it. They're interchangeable. And lately on my recordings, I've been using them both together. I set them up over there and mic them both up, and they crush. And next to that is a little Vox amp that I just recently got from Pianos and Stuff. Not recently, maybe 5 years. And I use this on some of my recordings. I've been using that Vox amp. I'll use this on the Notorious album. Was pretty much all cut on that Vox amp, 112, and doesn't distort real good. But I've learned how to play without a lot of distortion, and I think it gives me a sound of my own. I always like to say, I like you to be able to pick me out of the crowd. And whenever you put all them pedals on guitars and stuff like that, here's how I look at it. Every time you put a pedal on your guitar, it's like wearing a rubber. It's like your relationship with that amp and your guitar. There's something in between you and the flesh, and that's one reason why I don't do it. Another reason I don't do it is I don't understand technology things at all. I've never owned a cell phone. I don't even know how to turn my studio on. But so I like the simplistic things. I think all guitars should have one knob. I think all amps should have one knob. I don't like options. But the guy will say, "Well, this amp does this, or this amp does this." I said, "I don't care about all those things. I just want one sound, and I want to play." And I know that sounds crazy. But so we've maybe been getting some phone calls, and
We've been Paul Palco says, "Where's that old Fender 6-string acoustic you'd never sell me?"
oh wow!
Now, people have been saying stuff all along.
Hi, Paul Palco. Tall Paul from we used to hang together down at Excuses, a great bar on the south side where my buddy McCaig plays every Saturday afternoon. Really cool bar.
Looks like they're having a conversation with each other out there.
Oh, some folks are getting in?
Oh, yeah.
Tom's telling me that we're getting some action. People are chiming in and watching our show. And if you are tuned in, I can't thank you enough. I mean, having your interest or having you take a minute to just tune into who I am and what I do really means everything to me, because that's what I'm fighting to find. I'm fighting to find a bigger audience, and different ways to reach that audience and different things to do for that audience. You know, like talking crap like we're doing here today. You know, Larry and I had talked about doing it, like I said, and Harry and I had talked about doing this. But the way it worked out, the smartest thing to do was just do it by myself because of the things that are going on in our country right now. And but talking crap is something that it's an art form. It's, you know, it really is. At least I'm trying to, if it ain't, I'm trying to turn it into one. I call it talking loud and saying nothing. How you doing? I'll come over there, give you a skid over here. Hey, we're glad to be here.
Play something.
Let's play something. What do I got? Here's one. Play a song. How am I doing over there? Wrote this in 1978. And at the time, I was living at 2413 Waverly Street in Swissville, where my friend Rocky Lamondi and Vinny Q live now. And there was the GBU club when I bought it. And me and my old lady moved in there. I think it was 77. And through the whole time, most of the Tigers, I guess through all the Tigers, that's where I was living. And it was kind of like the headquarters where we'd rehearse and where everybody would hang. And everybody would meet up, and I was even starting to record there. And one day my old lady came home, and there was a girl background singer that I was using on a session, and my old lady's cat was sitting on this woman's lap. And when I went up to bed that night, she was still up. I could tell something was up, and she said that she came home and her cat was sitting on this other woman's lap, and she didn't like it. And I go, oh, okay, I get it. And then she said, I can't live here like this. So I says, all right, I'll buy another house and we'll turn this one into my studio. So we bought a house on Woodstock Avenue, and 2413 became my studio. It became Transport Studio, and Ralphie Caminio, one of the most crazy and beautiful men I've ever hung out with, ended up being there for many years. When I wrote this, I was listening to a lot of Bill Haley and the Comets, Buddy Holly, and I was just starting to fantasize about becoming a singer, which I never had any confidence in. I never thought I could be that guy. But as the Diamonds were winding down, I started thinking about things, I wanted to start, you know, having my own band and promoting my name, because I thought it would help me start a producing career. I had no idea that people were going to like me as a singer, and I had no idea that I could ever be any good at it. I really didn't believe, in fact, I didn't think I could. I was certain that I didn't have the skills to do it. But this is one of the first songs I wrote when I was starting to think about being Norman. How you doing? Are you ready? Ready for it? Go uptown and rock and roll. Are you ready? Ready for it? Tell me, what are you waiting for? She got you looked down right, and it's out of sight, out of control, out of control. Are you ready? Ready for it? To go uptown and see your baby. She's your steady Freddy. Now brother, I don't mean maybe. Your girl's looking alright, and it's out of sight, out of control. And then you get her in the backseat, lip service, and you move on down the road. When you pull into the side street, you get a header. You gotta get it up, you gotta go, man, go, go. Are you ready? Ready, Freddy? To go uptown and rock and roll. Are you ready? Ready, Freddy? Tell me, what are you waiting for? Your girl's looking alright, and it's out of sight, out of control. You got your look done right, and it's out of sight, out of control. That's out of control. out of control. Man, that's out of control. Well, ready, set, go, man, go. 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 Ready, Freddy, baby. One of my first songs, being Norman. Pretty cool, right? I was thinking of, See You Later, Alligator. Songs like that, some of them simple Buddy Holly things. I thought, hell, if they can write that, I could do that. And that's how I got my feet in the water. I started feeling like trying to contribute. Let me see here. Let's do another song. Oh, okay. Okay. I got an idea. We're gonna try something here. I didn't even have my amp turned on for that one. I should have turned it on. This is a newer hunk. There we go. This is a newer piece. Wrote this, I don't know, not so long ago. Maybe in the past year. Strap it on. G tuning. That's a Keith Richards tuning. He takes the low D off. He don't even use, that's why they call it 5-string. He tunes it to the G chord, then he eliminates the low E string. I tune it to a G chord, but I keep that low D down there. Because I like to go down in the basement. Crawl around and get all jiggy with it. Oh, by the way, Tom, could you put a light on my parents' Steeler Country sign? Right here. Steeler Country. I got this from my parents' apartment. And I always keep it here at the studio. So whenever I get here, I always have my parents with me. My mom and dad. How's your mom and dad? Get down, to get down. Everybody gonna be there. Gonna get down, to the get down. Bring your style and flair. See you around at the get down. Gonna get down, to the get down. Everybody gonna lose their blues. Gonna get down, to the get down. Bring your dancing shoes. Gonna get unwound at the get down. At the get down, anything goes at the get down. Everybody knows at the get down. Ain't no rules at the get down. Play it cool, what goes round comes round. At the get down, gonna get down. the get down. Everybody coming out to play. Get down to the get down. Music gon' swing and sway to the soulful sound at the get down. I was born in the city of Three Rivers, and I'm as bad can be. My mama said I'm gonna have a wild child. Well, my daddy said he's gonna look like me. I'm a little baby walking in a cradle, and I hear that children play. Said better learn to read and write. Don't stay out all night. I never listened to a word that teacher said. 'Cause I was born in the city of Three Rivers, and I'm as bad can be. My mama said I'm gonna have a wild child. My daddy said he's gonna look like me. My daddy said he's gonna look like me. Just stuck that one on the end there. That was a thing called Three River Rock.
People are saying you got the slide on. How about nickel?
How about the nickel?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I can do it, but I gotta try it, right? I'm gonna screw it up, but
Your fans are clamoring for
what they want. They go. You know what? I gotta give them what they want. Give the people what they want. That song I just did there, Three River Rock. I definitely wasn't planning on doing it, but that was a song I wrote on stage back when we had the Tigers. I used to write songs right while in the middle of gigs. You know, I would just start doing things, and everybody just look at me like, "What are you doing?" And we could just, and things were so sloppy and loose at that time. And that was one of the songs that came out. It was called Three River Rock, and I've been thinking about rewriting that and bringing that back. So I just threw that in there just for because we're here. Now, people want to hear "I Hate a Nickel Because It Ain't a Dime." I'm going to see if I can pull that off. I got to say this. When I was young, I loved playing guitar and singing. As I've gotten older and started trying to learn how to sing better and play better, I've gotten to a point where I don't like playing while I'm singing, which is a weird thing. You know, a guy who was like that was B.B. King. When B.B. King sang, he never played guitar. He'd fold his arms. And I used to think, you know, wonder why he does it. And he would say, I don't know how to play rhythm. You know, and I don't think that he did. It wasn't that he didn't know how. I think when you're singing, it's so important. Sometimes it's cool. I don't like playing guitar when I'm singing anymore. But that's been in the past 5 years or so. But I'm going to try and do it, and wrote this because a friend of mine. I got the line, "I hate a nickel because it ain't a dime," from my friend David Bryan, who is the keyboard player for Bon Jovi, has been a friend of mine for many years. And he said that to me one day. And I said, "That's a great song." I says, we got to write a song called that. He says, "Go ahead, you write it." He also said to me, another song that I got from just talking to David was, "Today I stepped in something that reminded me of you." David said that to me, and that song I wrote. Both of those songs are written from something David Bryan said. But I hate a nickel because it ain't a dime. Payday is waiting around the bend, so I borrowed $20 bill from a friend. He said, "I got you covered just this one time." And I had a nickel covered in a dime. Nowadays, I've been giving up on hope. All the money I make gets rolled up in smoke. Man, I head down to the corner by the same time every night. Well, walk away with a nickel. I can't afford a dime. I had a nickel, coffee ain't a dime. I had a nickel, coffee ain't a dime. Man, the way that I've been living, you know it's a crime. Hey, and I had a nickel, covered in a dime. I forgot the next verse. I had a nickel. I had a nickel. Talking about the way I've been living. You know it's a crime. Well, I had a nickel covered in a dime. How you doing? I forgot one of the verses. I'm a nutbag over here. Look at me, I'm a nutbag. I hope I did that one okay. It seems to be like, it's a great song to play live. When I wrote it, I kind of was stealing the vibration of that song from the Bobby Womack song that the Stones cut called, you know which one?
It's all over now.
It's all over now.
Over now.
Yeah, that's where it was stolen from. Was a lot of songs that I've written are stolen from like rhythm tracks of great pieces of music. We did. I don't know if anybody loves Bobby Womack as much as I do. I think of him as one of the greatest talents in all of music, and especially the stuff when he got older. But all the way back to the Valentinos, Looking for a Love and all that stuff that Jay Giles did. That's all Bobby Womack. I don't know if you guys know this, but Bobby Womack, when Sam Cooke passed on, Sam Cooke's wife ended up marrying Bobby Womack, and they lived the rest of their lives together. How great is that? Bobby Womack was, Rock and Roll Hall of Fames and stuff like that. If he ain't in there, I don't know. I think he was as great as they come. Bobby Woe. I've been telling people for years that I'm a clown looking for a circus. And they say, well, how about, what's Norman Nardini? I'm a clown looking for a circus. I'm always looking for the tent that I can get under and do my shtick and jump up and down and be like a little crazy monkey. But recently, I wrote a song about it. And the name of the song is Clown. And I'm going to stick it in your ear. See what you think of it. I haven't really done it with the band. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with this thing. Get the hell out of here. See what you think of this. Send it out to any clowns that might be out there. If there's any young guys, I see them at my gigs a lot of times. A lot of times they'll come out with their dad or their uncle. And I look at him and I go, I bet he's a musician. I bet this kid plays. And I could just see him looking at me going, oh my God, what the hell was he doing? What's he talking about? He's crazy. But I can see it starts a wheel in their mind turning. They were going like, oh my God. There's so much to this. mirror, what do I see? Face of a clown looking at me. Ain't good for much more than a laugh. Jokes that have cracked, you don't know the half. And you can tell the ringmaster that I'm in town. Well, and I'm looking for a circus, looking for a clown. My kind of work, it's hard to find. Barnum and Bailey comes to mind. If they're looking for a man that's funny, I'll be under the big top making my money. That's the way I see it. All going down, going down. And I'm looking for a circus, looking for a clown. There's folks who tell you I'm the best in the biz. Road dog like me, been everywhere that there is. Jersey Shore, nothing but smile in a roadhouse. They roll in the aisles where you can talk to my agent and he'll set you straight. Tell you I was clowning out of the gauge. Aim to please, got a need to amuse just to hear him take away your blues. And you can bet your sweet ass I've been around. Well, I'm looking for a circus, looking for a circus, looking for a circus, looking for a clown. Looking for a clown. How you doing? Nice piece of music, huh? A little bit of swing to it, a little bit of swingy. Man, I'm glad to be with y'all. And if you're watching, so I got to thank you so much. You know, it's been 4 years straight that we've been at the Starlight Lounge on Friday night, 7 o'clock. Strap it on. Drag your old shit can up on stage. Be somebody. You know, sometimes I'll play 4 hours straight. I didn't plan on doing that. This is what wasn't. I didn't think about being a guy that would do that. It just started happening, you know, and it just seemed to make so much sense. And when you have a lot of material, and you have a lot to say, playing 4 hours straight ain't no thing. But you know, a lot of musicians saying to me, "Dude, what are you doing? You're playing 4 hours straight. You're crazy. Why you're making us all look bad?" I'm not trying to make people look bad. I am so desperate to be on stage and so desperate to get inside people, looking for a circus that's looking for a clown. People come in to watch. What am I going to do? Walk off stage and say, "Oh no, I'm going to sit here and you know, shake babies and kiss hands"? I'm going to get up on stage and I'm going to drag my ass across the boards and be somebody. That's what you're supposed to do. I got enough songs to play. I could play 10 hours straight and not take a break. I got material coming out my giggy. Giggy's a Pittsburgh word. You know what else is a Pittsburgh word? Jitney. My old lady was watching Oprah one day, and there was a woman being interviewed by Oprah, and the woman said, "Yeah, you know, we were going to go. We had to get somewhere, and we called a jitney." And Oprah goes, "What'd you say?" She says, "We called the jitney." Oprah goes, "What did you say?" She says, "We called the jitney." And Oprah goes, "What the hell's a jitney?" And she says, "Well, that's like an illegal cab. You know, but we have them in Pittsburgh, like at all the grocery stores. There's a bunch of older guys that have their, you know, junk cars, and they wait when you come out of the grocery store, and they say, 'Do you need a ride home to help you carry your groceries?' And then you pay them. That's a jitney." And they would also people would call them, but they weren't certified. They didn't have insurance. They weren't a part of a company. They were jitneys. And when I was writing this song here, I wanted it to be about all things Pittsburgh. So I said, so I put that word jitney in it right away. I wanted to get it in there. It says you could get across town if you call it jitney. But take the back way, but that could get tricky. Don't get on the parkway around breakfast or supper, because Route 28 is bumper to bumper. You're going to have to tunnel your way through the 412. Well, this here's a sports town, and we got the Bucks, the Pens, the Panthers, and the Steelers don't suck. We'll kick everybody's ass, and we don't need a reason. Every day we thank God we ain't in Cleveland. I love that line. That we can all join and laugh. You know what? People in Cleveland can even laugh at that line. I got a ton of friends in Cleveland, and I love Cleveland. You know, I used to play in Cleveland. Tom, you might remember the band, the Baloney Heads. Did you know the Heads?
I heard of them. Never saw them.
They were a Cleveland band of local guys that were in a punk band. And they just did goofy songs, and they were just really cool. And when I first started playing in Cleveland, they kind of adopted us and let us play shows with them, and became buddies with them. Most of them are passed on. And I was just thinking about the Heads and the fun we had with those guys, and what a great town Cleveland is. You know, I make fun of it, and we all make fun of it. You know, my buddy came to see us play recently, and I did that line. And as soon as I did it, he wrote down on a piece of paper, "Pittsburgh started it," which is the thing about just recently the NFL story. Pittsburgh started it. But yeah, that 412 song has a bunch of that stuff in it. Let's play a song here on guitar. Yeah, I love Cleveland. Many great shows, many great friends. Cleveland's a rock and roll town. Much more than Pittsburgh. Much, much more. They appreciate the, you know, back in the day when I was in the 80s when I was playing there, WMMS, their radio station, was maybe the most important station in the country. If you were trying to break a rock and roll act, MMS was your boy, Kid Leo, Bruce Springsteen, Southside Johnny. Those guys, they broke into the national spotlight through the shine of Cleveland, because Cleveland adopted them, they felt them. And I remember when I had the Tigers, we went up there and instantly lit it up, because they understood that we were fresh meat. And while we were fresh meat, we were the boys. And as soon as, a couple, 3 or 4 years passed by and there's another new young meat, we were forgotten. That's how Cleveland is. I never took it personally. I kind of thought it was cool that we had our moment there. I remember we opened for the Pretenders, their first date back in America, in her hometown with Blossom, was the Tigers. We opened for the Pretenders at Blossom and had a killer show. And how much fun that was all those years ago. That's when both of those musicians were still alive. The guitar player and the bass player, before they passed on. But I'm not from Cleveland. I'm from down in Allegheny County. I call it Pittsfield, Pennsyltuck. And, I always say this here, I didn't ask to be Italian. I just got lucky. And I didn't ask to be a Pittsburgher. I just got lucky. I was born here, I'll probably die here. I've given my life to this town, and after all these years, seem like I'm still being kicked around. I come up the hard way in Pittsburgh, PA. Found some work here, doing my own thing. Thought everything was on time. Well, I looked around to see where I stood, and I was at the back of the line. Yeah, I found out the hard way in Pittsburgh, PA. Now here in Pittsburgh, PA, we've got the powers that be, scratching each other's backs, looking down the nose at you and me. Ow. Here in Pittsburgh, PA, got the powers that be. You can work your whole life and wind up down on your knees. Now there's changes all around me, and I'm still holding my ground. And the fact that I'm mad is that I'm a stranger in my hometown. I found out the hard way that it's a long way to Pittsburgh, PA. I found out the hard way that it's a long way to Pittsburgh, PA. Pittsburgh, PA. My hometown. Pittsburgh, PA, baby. Hey, iTunes and Amazon, you can stream Norman's albums from. Norman, who would be me. And they're under $10. My friend Larry G told me to say that. I also want to say that say hello to anybody that might be listening today, because my friend Ronnie Scala put us up on his station, and people might be listening to us from where Ronnie's coming from. And I want to thank him for spreading the word about the manful handful. Beginning with the skinny, the wop at the bottom, the Guido in the Speedo, the get down clown, the beauty on duty. You know, someone might ask, Norman, tell me your name. Let's do that. We haven't done it yet. Norman, Roosevelt, Aloysius, Nicodemus, Amadeus, Valentino, Giovanni, Romeo, Bruno, Raphael, Luciano, Luigi, Nardini, the beast of the East, the uncrowned king, Pittsburgh rock and roll. Bring on the rest, and let me put them to the test. We'll see who's good rocking and who's shit talking. Let's see what they got in their shorts. You want to get in the ring with us? Pack a lunch. Because you're going to kick my ass. It's going to take you all night. I ain't going down on one punch. You're going to have to stick around. Because I'm going to chew on your ankle. Smack you on your shit can. Chew on your ear. You'll have a cauliflower ear by the time I'm done with you. My dad used to talk about boxers. Carmen Basilio. Sugar Ray Robinson. He says he's got a cauliflower ear, cauliflower nose. He used to also talk about guys back in the day. He'd say he got a hot nose. And what that would mean back in the day, my father's day, people drank whiskey. And lots of it. And the more you would drink, your nose would light up. And if you became a whiskey drinker all your life, you'd get a hot nose. And like your nose would be red. And as soon as you had your first shot, bang, your nose would turn red. And he goes, hey, look at that guy's hot nose. I just love the sign of a hot nose. He used to know, this one guy says, yeah, his name's Ted Bolt. He used to be a part salesman. He goes, you'll know him when you see him. He's got a hot nose and a shiny suit. I just thought that was, well, that's a great line for a song, right? A hot nose and a shiny suit. What can we do here? Oh, okay. I got a ton of stuff to do. I'm going to play you a new song or two. Show you what the old Manful Handful's up to now. And where I'm trying to go with this music. At this age in life. I'm not going to write Love Dog again. I'm not going to write Ready Freddy again. I already wrote those. And that was a great time of life. But I don't know if you guys know this. The younger ones probably don't, but the older ones might. And I say this often. Life comes in stages. And if you're lucky enough, the stages of your life are memorable, and there's growth between each stage. And if not growth, change. And the change of who you are, like, when you're a kid, you're the kid of the family. And then if you're lucky enough to get old, your stage of life isn't the kid anymore. Your stage of life would be one of the older people that's raising the kids, or is the uncle to the kids. And also the same thing happens in music. When I was young, I played in like cover bands, when I was a teenage boy. And we studied, all the pop songs, Beatles, Stones, Chuck Berry, and all that stuff, like all the other kids did. And I remember kids would say, well, what are you going to do if you don't make it? And they always use the term make it. Like that was something that mattered. And it was like, I don't even think about making it. I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be playing music. Making it has nothing to do with me playing music. Making it is something for people that don't belong doing this. Because if you do it for your life, it don't matter if you make it. Make it means have hit records and all that, I never thought about that as something that I could even pull off. In Pittsburgh, we didn't think about having hit records much because it wasn't our reality. We had Jimmy Beaumont. We had the Jaggers, who had some success. Lou Christie, that had success. But it wasn't like in Jersey, where in Jersey, they had a lot of people that made it and made it big. And so people out there think about, put it like this, in Jersey, when I first went to Jersey, like in the 80s, everybody I met wanted to know if I had heard their tape yet. Because everybody had a tape. Everybody was trying to make it. And everybody had a tape. Everybody wrote songs. Everybody sang. I don't even know why I'm talking about that. Hey, here's a couple new songs that maybe help you see where I'm going with this music. We were headed for the city by the Golden Gate when we stuck on our thumbs back in '68. Got arrested in Ohio on the interstate. Never made the scene at Ashbury and Hayes. Born up in Beantown trying to get an education to modulate the status of my situation. Didn't graduate, youthful frustration put me on the road in search of sanctification. I was really good at being young. About guys like me, songs are sung. I can't believe the circles that are running, the pitches that I swung at, the bells can't be unrung. I was really good at being young. Joined up with a band out in Cincinnati, had a bowl of chili with a pimp daddy, learning ins and outs of rolling up a fatty from a girl in West Virginia on the backseat of a caddy. Got a gig in Jersey, so I took that turnpike ride. Met a couple Johns, one called himself Southside. Tore up the fast lane, that can't be denied. Got some sand between my toes, walking Oceanside. I was really good at being young. About guys like me, songs are sung. I can't believe the circles that are running, the pitches that I swung at, the bells can't be unrung. I was really good at being young. You couldn't tell me nothing I wasn't gonna learn for myself. Bang around Manhattan trying to find a record deal. Got high up on some mushrooms with a cabbie at the wheel. Smoked a joint in Mo Levy's office that had to be concealed. And I'd have took a beating if that had been revealed. Everywhere I went, my eyes was open wide for every laugh I had. There was a tear I cried, lost more than I won, but I never lost my pride. Now I wouldn't trade a minute of that crazy ride. I was really good at being young. By guys like me, songs are sung. I can't believe the circles that I run in, the pitches that I swung at, the bells can't be unrung. I was really good, broke every rule I could. I was really good at being young. Being young. How you doing? In that song, in the last verse, there's a line I say, I smoked a joint in Mo Levy's office, and that had to be concealed because I'd have took a beating if that had been revealed. And what that's all about is Mo Levy is Morris Levy, who was the president of Roulette Records and Buddha Records, and he was a legendary music business gangster, and that was extremely famous for playing very rough and keeping most of the money all the money that he could. And a lot of those movies that they make about the 50s and 60s music business, the guy that when they're talking about how ruthless these record company owners were, they're talking about Morris Levy. And I was on Buddha Records in the 80s. In fact, the Eaten Alive record, we were in New York City, me and Ray Gunn. We were at Buddha, and we were making phone calls promoting the album to college radio stations, trying to gather some airplay at the Buddha offices in New York. And I said to my friend Jack Kreisberg, who was working there and was responsible for us, I said to him, hey, Jack, we've been on the phone for 3 hours straight. And I says, is there any place we can go to smoke a joint, loosen up a little bit, catch ourselves? Maybe we'll just go down on the street. And they were in Midtown Manhattan. He says, don't go down in Midtown. He says, you can't go down there. He says, they're arresting people now. He says, you go down there, you'll never come back up. I says, is there like a stairwell? We could, because a lot of those big high-rise buildings, you go in the staircase and smoke a joint. No, don't go in there. You can't do that. So Jack slipped out, and there was just me and Ray Gunner. And I says, I says, come here, let's go. And we went down the hall, and there was an office that was open. And I looked in, and it was sharp, leather furniture. I mean, it was laid out. And I says, I says, come on, let's sneak in here. And I had a joint rolled. We lit it up and smoked it. And then we went back and finished up our phone calls. And later in the day, I said something to Jack. I said, yeah. I says, whose office is that there? And he goes, that's Morris's office. And I just went, oh. And I realized that I had gone in and smoked a joint in the biggest gangster in the music business office. And I says, where's? He said he was in Florida, so he wasn't even in town when we did it. But I was so proud that that I had that story to tell, and it's sat all these years since like 1981. And I just wrote this song. I guess I started it in October. This song called "Young," but just to tell that story. I lived long enough to tell that story about smoking a joint in Mo Levy's office. How cool is that, right? And the crazy part about it is, the guys from the Shondells, Tommy James's original band, were from this area. They're from out in Greensburg, Scottsdale area. And then a few years ago, I got to be buddies with Mike Vail, who was kind of like the boss of those guys. And we did some golf events together and stuff like that. And he told me about the book Tommy James put out, Me, the Money, the Mob, and the Boss, or whatever. And I read that book, and that brought that story back to life to me on my story, and I just kept thinking about it, and finally it just appeared in this song, and it was like so cool. But Mike Vail and Eddie Gray, those guys are, we did some golf events together. I was really glad that they included us in them. And when we did these golf events, I got to meet a guy. There's very few guys in the world that when you mention their name, almost everyone would agree that this guy is the greatest. Like there's Muhammad Ali, greatest boxer of all time. You know, the Beatles, greatest band of all time. I mean, you know, there's different. Everybody has different stories, but when you say the name Bill Mazeroski, we all think the greatest second baseman, fielding second baseman for sure, to ever play the game. And I got to meet Maz at these golf events, and after meeting him and feeling him, just what a gentle and unassuming character he was, I thought I had to write a song for him. So I did. And after I wrote the song, the next year we went back to do the event again, and Maz was there. And I says, Maz, I'm going to play your song. He says, what song? I says, I wrote a song for you. And I says, and when we play it, I'm going to ask you to come up on stage so people can see you. And so we were on the stage, we were doing our thing, and I says, hey guys, I'd like to do a special song about someone who's here today. And I ran back. I had my buddy Moondog run back and get Maz and bring him up to the stage. And Maz came up and he stood behind a post, and no one could even see him. I'm talking about him. And I said, Maz, I said, stand out here so people can see you. And he was like, had his head down. Very small guy, you know. And finally he went out and stood. And he stood out in front of people. And I says, I'm so proud to do this song for you. And I started talking. And I said, I only wish my father was here to see this and to be a part of this moment. And when I said that, he started crying, and I started crying, and all the people in the pavilion started crying, and it was like this weird moment where we were all in tears thinking about an iconic person and an iconic moment in time, you know, who he was and what he meant to our city and to the people, all us people. And it was like so cool to be a part of that. Just a second of Maz, you know, me, you know, it was just crazy. I'm not going to play the whole song because I'm not prepared to. It's hard for me to play these songs without accompaniment. Like I say, I hadn't prepared to perform by myself like this. But I'll give you one verse or two of this number just so you can feel Mazeroski. And we as Pittsburghers can all know that there's things that we all, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, a Jew, you know, a Muslim or whatever, there's certain things we can all agree upon. We're all Pittsburghers and we all love Maz. And we all love that time of American culture. It was so much simpler, and where baseball was king. You know, when I was a kid, baseball was king. The NFL was there, but baseball was way bigger than football. And I was lucky enough to be in Pittsburgh and watch as the NFL became the language and the culture of America. But when I was a little kid, it was Major League Baseball. Born in West Virginia, raised in Ohio, barely out of high school when he first hit the show. For 16 years a buck, he gave the best he had. When the Hall of Fame came calling, everyone was glad. Now there's a street over by the ballpark named to celebrate a simple man with the softest hands who ever played second base. Now every little leaguer, every ball yard, whoever turned a double play, tips his hat and lays another brick. Got little help from guys like Gene and Dick on Mazeroski way. Mazeroski way. Mazeroski way. Play ball! There's a whole song that goes with it, but I just wanted to get that in there because Maz, man, he's still alive and he's still beautiful, and we're all still, you know, when we got, I'll be 7 years old this year. There's a 7-year-old guy that becomes a little kid I'm 10 years old, which is what I was when he hit that home run. How you like that? Powerful, right? You know it is. Let me take a snort from my sippy cup. I got some more songs to play. Oh yeah. I got a good one. This song is about a chick. You know, I say chick. People don't say that anymore. You can tell I'm left over from the 60s and 70s when I say chick. People don't say, who's this chick? You know, it make me feel like Frank Sinatra. You know, somebody asked me, says, where do you get why you act like that? And, you know, sometimes I say, you know, did you ever see the Rat Pack? Did you ever see how those guys operated? You know, they became, in the snap of a finger, who they were became outdated and became the definition of a generation before my generation. But they never stopped being cool. And as time goes on and we look back, we see how cool they were and how cool what they did was. But in 1969, 1970, and the snap of a finger, with the arrival of, you know, the Stones, the Beatles, the Doors, all them people, they put Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, Sammy, into another category. And that's what pushed them out of the first place. That's when they lost being in first place. But in my heart, they never lost being in first place. What the hell am I talking about? What the hell song was I going to do? Oh, I was talking about... Check this song out. I think you'll like it. I just wrote it in the past year or so. She had man, plenty of them, but things never seemed to work out. Took on a woman one time, back in college, when she was living wild. Might have had a threesome or two. Now all she wants to hear is the blues. She had money, lots of it when she married up with that man. He had a woman that he kept on the side. Then him and that bitch just up and ran, took all that money with him too. Now all she wants to hear is the blues. Yeah, the banding and moaning and band of the boning takes the pain away. Yeah, the throwing and showing and saxophone blowing, put a big smile on her face. She found religion for a minute, then she found something else. Come in a bottle, pose on a glass, and it ain't no goddamn good for your health. And after she's had a few, all she wants to hear is the blues. She had a daughter, looked just like her, and you should see that girl dance. She'd get out on the floor, and all them young fellas fall into a trance. The bands play a motley crew, but all she wants to hear is the blues. Yeah, the band and moaning, the band of the moaning takes the pain away. The throwing and showing, a saxophone blowing, put a big smile on her face. Now all she wants to hear, just like her mother dear, all she wants to hear is the blues. All she wants to hear is the blues. Hey, there's a lot of girls from my generation that sounds like the life that they lived. You know what I say? God bless them all. I am the manful handful, the beast of the East. Check this piece out. Hey, you know what? We're hanging here together. I can never imagine spending an evening like this. I don't get to see anybody's faces. I can't smell your perfume. I can't see your outfit. and I can't see the look in your eyes or the smiles on your faces. But I'm hoping that there's some folks out there that are tuning into what we're doing. We call it entertainment, and it's very. It's not easy. I spent my whole life playing with bands and playing with other music. I spent my whole life screaming and shouting over a goddamn drum kit with a bass and guitars, and now here I am, and I don't even see no folks, but I'm doing what I can to get inside you. I'm gonna get up under your skirt and well, I had to get that said. Try this piece of music on. See what you think of this. I'm gonna live till I'm not gonna give all that I got out of this life. I'm gonna get a lot of. I'm gonna live till I'm not. Till I'm not amazed by the rain falling down, changing of the season, turning around. Till I'm not impressed that our three rivers flow to the Mississippi down to the Gulf of Mexico. And I'm gonna live till I'm not gonna give all that I got out of this life. I'm gonna get a lot of. I'm gonna live till I'm not. Till I'm not overwhelmed when I look to the sky and see 1,000 stars shimmering bright. Till I'm not inspired by the sound of a choir, the snowy winter day, the warmth of the fire. And I'm gonna live till I'm not gonna give all that I got out of this life. I'm gonna get a lot of. I'm gonna live till I'm not able to shed a single tear. Till I'm not overcome when I add up the cost, mistakes that I've made, loved ones I've lost. Till I'm not thankful for all that I've earned. Deep in my heart, passion still burns, and I'm gonna live till I'm not gonna give all that I got out of this life. I'm gonna get a lot of. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live. I'm gonna live till I'm not. Till I'm not. How you doing? Y'all's out of sight. Hey, I got another good one up. This is new, and I recorded this one recently, and I think this is a great song for where we are in today's world. You know, when I was a kid, I used to listen to Curtis Mayfield, and say it's alright, say it's alright, amen, hey, we're a winner. You know, those songs, they were talking, and Marvin Gaye, you know, these songs, they were talking, Stevie Wonder, they were talking about a new world, a better world where we could all look at each other and understand one another. And most importantly, respect one another, even if we didn't understand one another. And that's huge. And I don't ever talk about politics because I don't think my political views need to be heard. I have no desire to put that out there. Me and my old lady, we talk about things, but I don't put that out there because I'm for us all. I'm that guy. I'm just a simple American, and I want us to love each other. I want us to be together. I want us to lift each other up and maintain the greatness and have future generations be able to live a life like I've lived. I've lived a life where all I ever did was what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do with my life when I was 13 or 14 years old. And I've never, ever deviated. I've never stopped. Never changed my mind. Never fantasized about doing anything else. Never thought about doing anything else. All I've ever done is learn how to have a relationship with music. And if there's a kid today that's 14, like me, who no one would look at this kid and think in 50 years, 60 years, this kid is going to have lived a life of the constant pursuit of what music can be. If that kid's out there, I know that kid's lonely, and I know that kid would like for everyone to believe that he knows what he's going to do with his life. And I would like to believe that he's going to live in a country where he can do that, which is what's happened to me. I've lived this amazing life in America. And I couldn't be more thankful for it. And I really hope that we as a people respect the lives that we've had and respect the lives that haven't been lived yet. And that the kids, me, I just wanted to be a simple musician. Kids wants to be an athlete. Kid wants to learn about science. Kid wants to help other people. A woman wants to have a company and be an executive. All these things, we live here in America. What a great place. I think we can all agree on that, right? Let's find a way to open up our eyes so we can see inside each other's hearts. Let's find a way to open up our ears so we can hear each other when we talk. 'Cause everybody's different, but everyone's the same. We can all get along. Let's find a way. Let's find a way to break down all the walls that we beat up between each other. Let's find a way to lift each other up on each other's shoulders. 'Cause everybody's different, hey, but everyone's the same. Let's find a way. We're like leaves on the trees, like snowflakes that fall. We're like clouds in the sky, ain't no two the same. And there ain't no good reason why we can't do it if we try. We're all in this together. Let's find a way. Well, open up our eyes so we can see the player, not the game. Let's find a way to look within ourselves and stop looking for someone else to blame. 'Cause everybody's different, hey, but everyone's the same. We can all get along. Let's find a way. To live together, we can make it better if we learn about each other. We're all sisters and brothers, and everybody's different, hey, but everyone's the same. We can all get along. Let's find a way. Let's find a way. That's what I'm thinking. Right. We can do this. We can do this. I am the manful handful, the guinea with the skinny, the Guido in the Speedo. I think we're getting close to wine and dine here, aren't we?
We're 15 minutes will be 3 hours.
15 minutes?
Yeah, let's plan on that.
Okay, we're gonna.
That way I can save it all. Yeah.
We are gonna hang with you for another 15 minutes. If you're tuning in, please get in touch with us. Write something down, send it to us, and Tom will tell me anything that he feels that I need to hear.
You'll have fun reading all these comments.
Well,
it saves them.
It saves all the comments.
Yeah,
I
it
see
saves
them
all
on
the
my
comments.
Facebook
You can
page?
see them on your Facebook.
Oh my! So
It
you know,
saves the video and saves the comments, and then more people can watch.
I'm gonna be
tomorrow.
More people can watch tomorrow.
Well, I mean, people can still watch it.
I love it. I love it. And you know, I'm gonna be able to watch it tonight. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna grade my performance because that's what I do. I've been recording myself a lot. Tom did us live at the Starlight a couple months ago, and I learned so much when I watch it. And every word I say, every movement on body I watch and I grade. We did a thing in the fall. My friend Jessica brought in multi-track recording and a 3-camera shoot. I've been studying that lately. And just watching everything I'm doing and watching how I present myself. And I can't change in the snap of a finger. But when I watch these things and I take notes, I can evolve and learn how to be who I think I need to be to reach more people and to get my point across to people. And to young musicians and even older guys that are interested in developing themselves. You know, I think it's a good idea to always think, this is who I am today. But in the snap of a finger, I could be that much better. I could present myself better. I could say that in a better way. I could deliver that meal a different way. You know, it's always, I think we always need to redo ourselves. And like I was talking about songwriting before, just because you wrote something, doesn't mean it has significance. Remember this, almost everything that you write needs rewritten. And that's not a bad thing. That's how it's done. That's how great songwriters find that greatness, by writing and then not just flushing that down the toilet, but taking it and redevelop it. And what did I say there? How could I say that better? You know, maybe this line leads to something else and opens up a whole new door, a whole new avenue. And those kinds of things are like big time important. Let me just look here and see if there's any songs that I want to do that I haven't done yet, because we only have a few minutes left. Larry G will tell you. Stream our music from iTunes and Amazon. Notorious, Bonafide, Redemption, It's Alive, Breakdown, In Paradise, This Old Train, Eaten Alive. Those are all Norman products that I think we can all, over the years, the things that I've done. Let's do this. This is important. Do a song for my dad. Arthur, Lincoln, Andrew, Desio Diomundo Nardini. My hero. Born on February 12th, 1920, Abraham Lincoln's birthday. I didn't know my dad was my hero when I was in my 20s. I didn't know my dad was my hero when I was in my teens. I didn't know in my 30s, I didn't know my dad was my hero. But as I started getting my 40s and 50s, I started watching who he is and who he was. And slowly I just started becoming him. Because I wanted to, because I loved the way he was and what he was to the family. And now I see myself as, once he was gone, it's been 13 years, I saw myself as becoming him of my family. To my sister and her kids and stuff, you know. And how cool is that? I could talk about my old man all night. I ain't no better than my daddy was. I'm just a chip off that old block. From the simple way that he lived his life to the working class way he talked. Thought I knew better when I was a kid, but I was so wrong. Daddy let me make my own mistakes, standing by me all along. And my old man, he was a one of a kind, and I'd get a smile on my face every every time it comes to mind. The kind of man he was, that's the kind of man I need to be. And this here apple didn't fall far from the tree. Ow. Now I learned the things that my daddy knew the hard way, just like him. By going to work, never giving up, and standing for something. Daddy said the devil doing $30 bills and ain't gonna try and buy your soul. And I gave up chasing that buck. Daddy didn't raise no fool. And my old man, he was a one of a kind. And I get a smile on my face every time it comes to mind. The kind of man he was, that's the kind of man I need to be. And this here apple didn't fall far from the tree. Sunday afternoon, still a game. I'll be hanging on every word he'd say. Swearing at Bradshaw every time he threw it. I was learning who it was, and I didn't even know it. I ain't no better than my daddy was, and that's alright by me. Daddy stood tall, never seen him fall, and I'd get up off his knees. Time goes by, see him and me, more and more for sure. Growing up to be my father's son, right down to the core. And my old man, he was a one of a kind. Always a smile on his face and a twinkle in his eye. The kind of man he was, that's the kind of man I'm gonna be. And this here apple, this here apple, this here apple didn't fall far from the tree. Far from the tree. Arturo, here's a kiss for you. My old man was the kind of father that taught us that the boys are supposed to fart at the dinner table and the girls are supposed to be disgusted by that. I learned that very young. You know, and I hope you guys had a father that understood those kinds of things, you know, and then the women would get frustrated with you, and they would like want to put you in your place, and you would just smile and laugh. And that was the yin and the yang. That is the beauty that was created, you know, by the cave people years ago, so many moons ago. I talk about my dad. He went, you know, he was in World War II, and this is the greatest. And he was an airplane mechanic, and him and his buddy, my dad was the sergeant of the airplane mechanics, and him and his buddies made a plane of their own from spare parts. And when they made that plane, it was a spotter plane. In other words, it was very quiet. It was just a frame, and they would wrap paper around it. They didn't even use metal on it, so it was very light and very quiet. And my dad said they found this place where the German girls would sunbathe naked. And he said that him and his buddies would get in this plane and they would fly up to where the girls would be. And it was so quiet they couldn't hear the plane coming. And all of a sudden, bang, the plane's up overhead and all these German girls are down on the beach sunbathing naked. And he says, and as soon as they'd see the plane, they'd all stand up and they'd start running like this. And I saw this look in my father's eye. And I just went, oh my God, there it is. That's me. You know what I mean? Because he never talked about things like that. You know, it wasn't, the guys in his generation didn't talk about things in that way. But that was, when I was, Christ, I must have been 50 years old when he told me that story. And it just lit me up. And I just thought, oh my God, my father was a guy. He was young. He was beautiful. You know what I mean? It was just so cool to have him lay that on me. He used to sit in front of my house. He wouldn't even knock on my door. He'd sit in his car. And I'd see him sitting out there. And I'd say, Pap, what the hell are you doing out there? I says, why don't you just come in or knock on the door? He says, your mother doesn't want me to bother you. And I says, oh, so you sit in front of my house in your cars like a cop or a stalker or something. He goes, yeah. How fantastic was he? Here's a song. When I wrote this, I was thinking about, I started listening to gospel music. You know, from studying the Sam Cooke stuff and back years ago. And how he came from Al Green. You know, we saw a thing of Al Green the other day, me and the old lady. We saw, and he was preaching in church. And it was so powerful and so beautiful. What he was doing, I was just in awe of Mr. Al Green. And when I look back, thinking of Sam Cooke, Bobby Womack, these guys had so much music running through their bodies. People today can't even imagine the fire and the fury inside these men. But I love the way they would write songs, and I would always say they're bisexual, which is kind of a joke. In other words, what it meant is they went either way. Christian or for the people, secular. And so those would be the two sexes. And so they would write songs that would go either way. That's why I used the stupid term bisexual. But so I thought I need to write one of those. And so I'm going to play you one. This will probably be the last one we get to play. But this is a song that goes either way. When I saw you, I saw the world come alive. Saw the sun come up and take the clouds from the sky. When I saw you, saw the flowers in the spring and all the colors autumn will bring. I was blind till I saw you. I never knew the sky was blue, and I never saw the sun shine through. I was blind till I saw you. When I saw you, I saw a river rolling by. When I saw you, I saw a mountain high. When I saw you, saw a forest evergreen, saw a meadow blowing in the breeze. And I was blind till I saw you. I never knew the sky was blue, and I never saw the sun shine through. I was blind till I saw you. I never saw a rainbow, never saw a pot of gold. But the first time I saw you, saw all those colors unfold. When I saw you, I saw an eagle soaring high. When I saw you, I saw a butterfly. When I saw you, I saw a waterfall. When I saw you, I saw the writing on the wall. And I was blind till I saw you. I never knew the sky was blue, and I never saw the sun shine through. I was blind till I saw you. And I was blind till I saw you. I never knew the sky was blue. Yeah. And I never saw the sun shine through. I was blind till I saw you. 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 How you doing? I'm the Manful Handful, and I love you all day. Now get upstairs and put this on. I'll be up when I'm done with this beer. Romance, Italian style.